Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into a Wednesday edition of the JP Peterson Show. As you can probably tell, I am not JP Peterson. I am much, much better looking than JP Peterson. And to my stage left, that way, sorry, the other left, that is one PGA of America member, Mr. John Gerber, sitting in for me today as I sit in for JP Peterson, who is on the slopes in Breckenridge and skiing and whatever it is dudes do on a dude trip, on a ski trip, because I haven't been on a guy ski trip since like 1995, to be honest with you.
I know what they do on golf trips. Ski trips, I have no idea.
And things were already sketchy when you go on an all-guy trip skiing in the 90s, so I can only imagine what it's evolved into now. But you have me, you have Johnny, and it's going to be a somewhat shorter show than normal. We're going to still get into all of your Tampa Bay-centric sports, and I am relying on you, the viewers, the listeners, B, Rick, John, all of you guys in the comments to help us along through the show here. We will get into the Bucs. I've got some Bucs information that struck me wrong that I got into yesterday, writing over at Athlon Sports, my Buccaneers site, that I want to present to the masses here. We will talk about the Rays and their shellacking of the Pirates. And we will also get into the Lightning as they win 4 in a row on the island last night. But first, we had a notable death in the world of deaths. And it was a death near and dear to my heart. And I didn't find out about it until early this morning when I woke up. But I guess it happened at some point yesterday. And that is the death of the great Val Kilmer, as he finally succumbs to his throat cancer that he's been dealing with for years and years and years. One of my favorite actors. I'm not saying he was a great actor. I'm saying he was one of my favorite actors. He played a lot of roles near and dear to my heart. Of course, most of you guys that watch the show regularly or that watch the Colby Sapp and IndyCar Tim show on Wednesdays here on FanStream Sports regularly, he was in my favorite movie of all time, Top Gun. And then, of course, reprised his role as Iceman, as the Admiral of all navies in Top Gun Maverick. And, as far as I know, that was his last acting gig. He lost the use of his natural voice some years ago. And they played that into the movie, into the script, into the storyline in Top Gun Maverick. And I just thought it was the best tribute to him and to his character they could do. But of course, many will know his role as Batman. Batman. I feel like my voice today with my flu thing going on.
You sound like him. You sound like him for sure.
Everybody's listening to my fake FM radio DJ voice. We're spinning the hits here on KJP, or I guess over there it's WJPP.
You've done that before. You've done that.
Not FM. I didn't do FM stuff before, but he played in a lot of roles. A lot of my, I guess, most known, like one of my all-time favorite movies again was Willow, where he met my future ex-wife and then he stole her from me, Joanne Whalley. They were married almost 20 years, and then I tried to steal her from him after they got divorced, but she would have no part of me. And of course, his role as Jim Morrison. And then of course Tombstone. Everybody will remember Tombstone. And if you go way back with with Val Kilmer, you will remember the movie Top Secret and the movie Real Genius, which I watched before I ever saw him in Top Gun. So my fandom goes way back with Val Kilmer. It hit me pretty hard, even though I knew it was coming. He'd been, like we said, he'd been sick for a while. But I wanted to pose the question to all of you and to you, Johnny. And Johnny, you're such an anomaly in human society. You may not have an answer for this.
Well, explain that now. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can go with that when you make that
You're just
comment.
an anomaly to human society because you don't have the same I guess, viewpoints of pop culture things as the rest of human beings do. But for those of you that don't know, Johnny Gerber is 50 plus years old and has never eaten a candy bar. Stuff like that. So you, the masses out there, JP Peterson, FanStream Sports fans, what celebrity death affected you the most growing up? Well, okay, not even growing up. Just could have been anybody as an adult. We'll throw musicians into there, too. If you had a favorite musician that died, if you're old school, it might have been Elvis, might have been John Lennon. If you're newer school, my age group, it could have been the greatest death in all of rock and roll that spawned one of the greatest bands, and that's Kurt Cobain and Nirvana. If Kurt Cobain wouldn't have died, we'd have never had Foo Fighters. And Foo Fighters is a bajillion times better than the overrated Nirvana. Don't ever want to see a human being lose his life, especially in questionable circumstances like Kurt did. But who was it that died in your lifetime that hit you the hardest? Not family-wise, but, celebrity-wise, musician, TV star, whatever it was. Let us know in the comments or on the FanStream Sports Studio text line, 214-937-0569. Couple of ways you can reach us here. I don't think we've ever given that out on the JP show because everybody comments on the screen. But a couple of different ways to reach us there. Let us know. We'll get into some of those throughout the rest of the show. But the Bucs odds came out for their win totals. We're going to get into that a little bit. The Rays starting the season off the way they need to start the season off. And the Lightning getting ready for the postseason, blasted the Islanders. They've won 4 in a row. We're going to get into all of that. We're going to talk a little bit of Valero Texas Open since we've got PGA professional John Gerber here. And we're going to give you his picks for the Open, the winning picks. Johnny, for those of you that don't know, had a winner last week, and he had a top 20. So he cashed in 2 tickets. Damn it. But along with our, by the way, for a full preview, you can watch us on From the Rough tonight, 5 o'clock Central Time, 6 o'clock Eastern at fanstreamsports.com, the YouTube channels on X, and on Facebook. Wherever you guys normally watch us, we'll be there, as well as here on the JP Peterson FanStream Sports Tampa YouTube page. So, couple of the comments coming in right now. By the way, Cody commented very, very early when I set the stream up, said he watched Brody's latest video. This is Brody Brazil, by the way, latest video about the Rays being sold and moved. He says, I'm with you, JP, that the Rays ain't effing leaving. Okay, JP can't say it because he jinxes things since the Liam Cohen debacle. But they ain't effing leaving. MLB does not want to move the Rays out of the Tampa market. I know some of you have said you have heard Rob Manfred refer to Central Tampa. I've never heard him say the words Central Tampa or Central Florida. I have always heard Tampa, the Tampa Bay area, and that's where he wants to keep them. And I think they want them on the correct side of the bridge, if you know what I mean. B comes on and says, you think the NFL wants a team in Jacksonville? Hell no, but that happened. Actually, B, I do think they wanted a team in Jacksonville in the early 90s.
Yeah,
they targeted Jacksonville and Charlotte specifically in the early 90s, and that's why we have the Jaguars and the Panthers. Now, 30 years later, does it seem like a mistake? Maybe. But back in the day, they wanted teams there, and that they picked those teams above. Let's see, I think Memphis was in the running at the time. I think Baltimore at the time, because they didn't have the Ravens yet. They were in the running. St. Louis was in the running back then. So yeah, they picked those cities. I think they did want teams there for sure.
If you look at it also, Tim, you look at that, 15, 20 years ago when Jacksonville, it's per mass, it's one of the biggest cities in the country. If it's not population wise, but in that flux of like 15, 20 years ago, think of how many people from the North were moving to Florida, right? So that was certainly a target market, another target market for the NFL. I mean, you already had Miami, you already had Tampa, but that was certainly something that you could draw from the Georgia crowds and people that were coming down that 95 corridor, first off, to move there. So Jacksonville, to contrary belief, was one of the biggest targets that they wanted. They wanted that market because they knew the South Florida market was Miami, 5.5, 6 hours away. And then you had the kind of, I don't want to say real Floridians, the people that, Tampa for Florida. I spent most of my life in Florida. It's touristy, but it's not touristy like Orlando.
Right.
So, you got the kind of I don't want to say real Floridians, but you have more of a main planted people there. So that Jacksonville market was a market that they wanted for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's worked out. If you recall, both Jacksonville and Carolina made their respective conference championship games their second years of existence. So, yeah, I mean, they haven't really done much since, but it was a success early on. That's when you had the expansion draft and they changed things around the same way they do it for the most part now. And you might be looking at some further NFL expansion coming here in the next few years from what I've been seeing. B also says, David Sampson says Manfred can approve Ray's exploring relocation without a vote. Stu will use that as leverage. I do agree with that, B. Stu will use whatever possible leverage he can. B also says, first, though, big city council vote Thursday. If they delay again, Trop repairs will change dynamics. Lottville already knows. Yeah, Chris Lottville is very familiar with all of this stuff and what's happening and what Stu's doing on purpose. By the way, while we're talking about Stu, thank you for that, B. And Thomas Casper, yes, that's what I'm getting into right now with Stu Sternberg taunting the fans at Steinbrenner Field. He did indeed yesterday taunt the fans at Steinbrenner Field. JP posted this on the X machine yesterday. Breaking, happening now at Rays baseball game at GSF. Rays owner Stu Sternberg is taunting fans who yell, "Sell the team." According to one of the friends of the show there, Stu was blowing kisses at the guy yelling, "Sell the team." He turned his back to the field and just smirked at the fans. And here is the photo that accompanied that tweet. As Stu just stood there, turned around, you can see his back is to the field at this point, and he is staring up at the stands. And look at that smirk on his face.
That's a guy that just does not care what they think.
No, he doesn't give a crap.
Not only the fans, but the players itself. And the ironic thing, do you think the players are going there? I mean, whether they start 3-1, I think they're 3-1 or 4-1. You think every time that they go there and win, they just want to stick it to him so hard, and just like, I mean, for him to have the audacity to actually go to the game, like down with the general population, man, that's like prison break, man. What are you doing? Like, that's the easiest way. Hey, I know Tampa's that area is a pretty safe area kind of for Florida. Yeah. But man, you're just begging to get it. I mean, well, and to me, and look, I don't have the same dog in the hunt that JP does with all this, or that you guys do. Look, I'm not, I'm a Rays fan, but I'm only, because I do this show, and then I like good baseball, and I want the best for the Rays. I want their fans to experience outdoor baseball, which they're finally doing. I think the Trop is a toilet. I'm sorry for those of you that disagree. I went to the Trop for a basketball tournament before the Rays ever existed, all right, after they built it. And I thought it was a toilet then. It's just not endearing to the fans. It's not endearing to baseball. But I was so excited for the fans to get to experience outdoor baseball. And I know it's not a sustainable product with the weather that's out there, and they're doing the best they can for this year and however long it takes to find a permanent home. But the fact that Stu, just knowing how everyone feels about him, knowing how he is treating the fans and treating baseball and treating his team, for him to show up and act like this at a game, and remember, this is not the Trop, okay? This is not a 40,000-seat stadium. This is an 11,000-seat stadium. Everyone in the stadium can see him. They know exactly where he's sitting, and all eyes are on him, including the media and television cameras and broadcasters. And look, you can see in the picture, he is right next to the Rays dugout, right next to the Rays dugout. Yeah. And they're watching him, and they're seeing what he's doing. How do you think that affects the players? It's crazy. I mean, the best thing about the Trop is Fergs. the bar right there that you can
Yeah.
everybody kind of goes to and then go over. But if you look at it this way, I mean, the destination where it was set up didn't work anyways. It's not really a sports area. St. Pete is completely different than Tampa. And
Right.
if you would have put hockey down there, you think it would have succeeded? No, it's not. It just wouldn't. So I think they're more tight cast with the area and how they kind of mismanaged in terms of baseball fans, things like that. It wouldn't have mattered what you put down there. It was going to fail for St. Pete in terms of the sports area. Yeah. So it's more of a product of where it really was. Like I said, I think if you put the Lightning down there, they wouldn't succeed. They wouldn't.
Right.
You'd have the same situation as you have now. So yeah, that guy is just overwhelmingly arrogant is probably not the right phrase to say it, but certainly he is when it comes at, I don't know if it's narcissistic or a sociopath, whatever, for that guy to just not care, like he's just so out of touch. I always call it socially ignorant.
Yeah.
Right? When people do stupid things, that just drives me crazy. I just call it socially ignorant. And that was certainly to have that response and do what you did. You want the fans to hate you more, and what she doesn't really care if he does or doesn't.
No.
But you keep doing that and you'll see what happens.
No, and remember, guys, I'm kind of on the outside looking toward at y'all, right? And we have 3 stadiums within a rock throws of each other here out in Arlington. And we built stadiums here in the Dallas area like they're Starbucks, okay? And it's not this hard. It is not hard to build a stadium, okay? The Rangers have had 2 new stadiums since 1994, since the Trop was built. We're on our 2nd stadium since Tropicana Field was built. And both of them are still in use.
Yep.
And they're both still great venues. And we don't have all of this. And we didn't have to build it in Dallas. We didn't have to build it in Fort Worth. Think about Dallas and Fort Worth as being much the same as Tampa, St. Pete, but we don't have a big, huge bay and a bridge in between us, okay? So it's easy to get these things done when you have a willing owner. And again, for me, the unfortunate part is the fans that have to deal with this, that have to deal with him. All of the misinformation that comes out from his camp, and the way Council Member Chris Lotvala has been playing this thing is just amazing. If you guys don't follow Chris Lotvala on X, please go do so, because he is a must follow if you want the truth about all of this stuff. So
yeah.
So we're going to take our first break. JP's like, make sure you get breaks in. We got to have breaks. Go take a break.
You sound like him. That's great. Your impressions when you're sick are amazing. That's fantastic.
I know. I should be sick more often. Coming back, we will talk some Bucs and some Texas Open for you golf fans. Special thanks to Riveters. Don't forget, Riveters has fresh food. They're the official sports bar and grill of the JP Peterson Show. It's just like our show. No BS. No corporate chain feel. Just amazing, authentic folks serving great comfort food at riveterstampa.com. We'll be back in, 2 minutes and some 50 seconds. Back after this.
Spring means a time of renewal and Rays baseball, and the folks at Italiano Insurance want to welcome the Rays to Tampa and remind you it's time to renew those insurance policies with the now famous Italiano Insurance Checkup. Let the experienced and friendly agents shop your policy for the best price and coverage. Famous for saving me over $1,000 on our auto insurance last year and over $500 on our homeowners. Now that's a grand slam. Might as well get a double play by adding flood insurance and business insurance to your portfolio. Costs less than you think, and trust me, you do not want to risk your home or personal wealth. That's a big whiff. So step up to the plate and call 813-877-7799 and chat with the all-star agents at Italiano Insurance. 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. Go Rays! JP here for Riveters, our new official sports bar and grill of the JP Peterson Show. And just like our show, no BS, no corporate chain feel, just amazing, authentic folks serving great comfort food in a casual atmosphere at unheard of prices. Riveters is located just south of Raymond James and Steinbrenner Field on Dale Mabry, walking distance to the park, so free parking, great place for pregame and postgame. Let's talk about fresh food. Nothing is frozen. Burgers, wings, prime rib, roasted fresh daily, never frozen. That makes a huge difference. The mahi, the salmon, also super fresh. All our sauces are original recipes made in-house. Our Warhawk chili and fully loaded potato soup is made fresh in-house. It's the best food anywhere, served by people who actually care. Riveters on Dale Mabry, just north of 275, just south of where the Bucs and Rays play. We'll see you there. Are you looking to renovate your home, rebuild after the hurricanes, or build your dream home from scratch? Well, let me tell you about my friend Jason Fawcett and On-Site Construction. They have over 1,450 satisfied clients, 25 years of experience, over 500 designs, and a talented team of over 40 construction professionals. They believe building something exceptional begins by truly focusing on all the details, even the smallest ones. We understand that construction can be a daunting process, and we're here to make it as smooth and stress-free as possible. Quality is non-negotiable at On-Site Construction. We use the finest materials, employ the most skilled tradespeople, and adhere to the highest industry standards to deliver a product we're proud of and that you're going to love. Our project management is meticulous with a focus on completing projects on time and on budget. Your happiness is our primary driver. So give us a call at 813-579-5789 or check out our incredible website at onsiteconstructionfl.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
Welcome back to the JP Peterson Show right here on FanStream Sports, always live 10 to noon Eastern at fanstreamsports.com on the FanStream Sports mobile app, YouTube, X, Facebook, and then later the same day, wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, if you're listening to the recorded podcast, you can still comment and be part of the show on the FanStream Sports studio text line, 214-937-0569. Yes, that's a Dallas number, but we all have cell phones now, and you're just texting. If you don't have unlimited texting on your phone plan at this point, I don't know what to tell you. But it's free, 214-937-0569. And then we will read it, forward it to JP, and probably read it on the air if it's a good one for the next show. Today's episode brought to you also by Third Generation Plumbing. Summer is coming, and don't get caught with your unit unprepared, Johnny.
Ooh, summer is coming here in
Your
Dallas.
AC unit, of course. Make sure you check out Third Generation Plumbing and AC. They've got a special right now for a 1-year maintenance package with any purchase of a new unit. They have special 60-month financing as well, so you don't need to have a huge chunk of money up front. Give Third Generation a call, 813-961-8024, 813-961-8024, thirdgenerationplumbing.com. Looking at that phone number kind of gives me some deja vu. My childhood phone number growing up from 1979 until I moved out in 89.
What were you, 40 then?
Ended in 8024.
Oh.
Yeah, that was the last 4 digits of my childhood phone number. So there you go.
All right.
I don't know how much longer I'm going to last here, guys, because I don't know. Look out my window here at my home studio. It's getting dark. It's getting dark, guys. I don't know what I should do here. I already can't talk. But
tornadoes can't stop us. You know that.
No, I'm not worried about tornadoes. I'm more worried about hail, baseball-sized hail. Maybe it'll kill the weeds in my yard, though, if it hails. That's what I need.
That's what the grass and fertilizer does. You ought to know about that.
Yeah, I know it. I know. By the way, don't mix fertilizer in your Tang. It's not a good move.
Good. No.
Back to our comments here for just a little bit. Daniel Rivera, yes, great actor. As we discussed the death of Val Kilmer at the start of the show, Tom Cruise did want him in that role, and he desperately wanted. The only way he was going to do Top Gun Maverick is if Val Kilmer could also be featured in it. And again, I thought they did that extremely well, given Val Kilmer's condition, as they wrote it into his character, and the Iceman's character was great.
You know who it was for me? I just saw Daniel said Michael Jackson, but a little sooner for me, me being in sports. I don't know if it's shocked probably more than anything else was Kobe. I mean, you know, I know it's over it's only been 3 or 4 years, but that was the shocking part.
No, it's been like over 5 years since
5 years. Okay. See, that's how it is. But, just how it happened. And, I think in the world, everyone knew kind of Val Kilmer was sick. Not saying it makes it any easier by any means, But when you have a situation like Kobe still, pretty very, very predominant in the spotlight, and something like that happens.
Yeah.
Daniel says Michael Jackson. That was a little bit of a, shock, I think, for some people, but maybe for the inside people, it wasn't really that big a shock. Right?
And, I'll throw for some, and I think this affected me more than Michael Jackson, was Prince. The Prince death, because it was so unexpected. I think when Michael Jackson died, it didn't necessarily surprise a lot of people.
Yeah.
And look, there was no bigger Michael Jackson fan in the 80s than me. Right. I had the Thriller video on play on my VCR in my room. I had Michael Jackson posters everywhere. I had the Michael Jackson leather jacket that he wore in Beat It.
Oh, of course you did.
We all thought we were cool. John Hill says, good hump day morning. Hump day. Show started on time. OMG. Well, yeah, it's because I started the show, John. There you go. Jeremy Lowe, or is it Jeremy Lau? Jeremy Lowe. Depends on if you're related to Brandon Lau or Josh Lowe, I guess how you pronounce that.
Yeah.
Robin Williams was tragic. That is a fact, and especially, I think, because of the way he went at his own hand. That was shocking to everyone. And look, there was no love lost between me and Robin Williams. I was never a huge fan of his. But the way he went and the fact that he went was tragic. There's no question.
Yep.
Daniel Rivera, also Alex Trebek. Okay. All right. Great Canadian, by the way. Good day, mate. Did Stu kidnap JP? No, B. I don't know if he kidnapped him. I also don't think that JP invited Stu on their ski trip. Can you imagine those two on a ski trip together at the bar? Not really sure about that. John Hill updating us. I did see Governor DeSantis on Fox a little bit ago, John. He announced service tariffs on 69% if one takes their show to Colorado, effective at noon today. Yeah, that's why we got to have the show shut down by noon Eastern time. And I do like the number that you chose, 69 there. I get it. Giggle, giggle. Cody says, Tim, do you think Mason Rudolph will be the starting quarterback for the Steelers? No, I do not. I think Aaron Rodgers will be your starting quarterback, but I don't think he will sign with the team until after camp starts. So he will have as little work to do as possible. Mason Rudolph certainly will be the backup there, though.
Yeah, it could be something to where Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Rodgers might be waiting for the draft, right? I think he doesn't want to make that mistake that he happened with the Packers, right? Being blindsided that they drafted somebody, he wasn't a free agent then by any means, but I think he learned a little bit. He doesn't want to go in there being a mentor into Pittsburgh. Yeah, I don't think he wants to do that. I think the advantage a little bit that Pittsburgh may have as opposed to the Jets is, Pittsburgh is not asking him to come in there and be the savior. They're just coming in there to, hey, let's upgrade our quarterback room. And I'm not is Aaron Rodgers an upgrade from Russell Wilson? Yeah, probably. And Justin Fields? Yes, probably. But they're not asking him to do what he did with the Jets. They're not.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go, Cody. John Hill says, congrats, Johnny, on picking Woo, as we'll get into Johnny's picks here in just a minute for the upcoming Valero, Texas Open. Thomas Casper, that is the total BS. Lie Manfred has in no way commented on exploring relocation. Total lies, BS. I'm sure he mentioned the possibility of relocation, but he probably shot it down at the same time. So you're probably right, Thomas. I believe that. And then finally here, before we get into some Bucs, Mark Holliday. And again, guys, I apologize for my voice today. I'm doing the best I can here. What are your thoughts on Cooch winning the MVP? He's played 5 less games than McKinnon, and no one seems to be talking about it. So we talk about it here at least every couple of days during the week. As of after last night's game, Kucherov has 111 points. Nathan McKinnon with the Avs have 110 points. Draisaitl in Edmonton right behind at 105. They're really the only 3 that have any chance for that scoring title. And I think Kucherov has the front line angle to get it. I think it's going to be Cooch. I think he's got an easier schedule than McKinnon does the rest of the way. And I think he's got more to play for. So
you think it's predicated on how far each team goes into the playoffs? You think that'll be a factor in who gets that in the MVP vote?
No, this is just the points. This is just the points
The
leader.
point.
This is black and white. Yeah, this is who scores the most points. So, but no, if I'm not mistaken, I forget what the total was last year. Did Kucherov miss it by like 1 point? I can't remember how it ended last year, but it was super, super close. Maybe you guys can remind me of that. But yeah, I've got Kucherov all the way there with it. Real quick, Daniel, too. Tim, I visited McKinney last year and have to tell you I was so impressed with the downtown area that I will again this year. If you want a real small town, Phil McKinney is a place. Dude, downtown McKinney is about 15 minutes from me, and they have done so much work over the last 20 years making it a tourist spot for people. And yeah, dude, I love downtown McKinney, the entire area, the bars. They've got a very Irish feel down there with a bunch of Irish pubs. And during the holidays, it's even better, man. They do so much work down there. I love it. I love it. I love it.
You know, another little sneaky small town that you have, I mean, for little suburbs is Grapevine. Go little downtown Grapevine right there.
Yeah.
It's a lot smaller than McKinney, but that's cool. There's a really great Mexican restaurant there. So they've kind of revitalized that little Grapevine area also. I mean, as much as I love Frisco area, it got too concrete, if you know what, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I mean, it's too concrete-ish and too vertical when it comes to the buildings, and it doesn't really have a hometown feel like that McKinney or the Grapevine is. Yeah, that's great. That's a great area, that McKinney.
Real quick, the Bucs have and I forget who it was. It might have been FanDuel. They came out with the Bucs projected wins. If you are a betting man, and once again, I don't know what these national outlets, where they're looking, or if they are just trying so hard to steer betting to the over, which is what it seems like now. But it's weird to try to steer one way or the other when we're still months away from the season starting. But the odds makers project the Bucs win total at 7.5 wins.
That's it?
7.5. Don't forget, they're coming off a 10-7 season. It's their first double-digit win season in 3 years, and the first under bowls. All of the offense returns. All 11 starters return. You're upgrading the defense. The Falcons have done very little to get better. Carolina could be a little better. But the Saints are going to suck. I'm sorry, Kellen Moore is not an NFL head coach. He's barely a coordinator. So you guys have nothing to worry about in New Orleans. I'm sure that makes you happy to hear that. But off a 10-7 season, to just project 7.5 wins just seems asinine to me. Johnny, you're a betting man. How do you see this?
Yeah, those numbers look like certainly they're banking on a little bit that division's getting a little bit better. I don't know how they see that. Is Carolina going to get better? Will they chop? I think Atlanta probably with another year with Penix playing in a full year and that full confidence, I think that's going to help. You know, they have too many weapons and too many targets with Drake London and with who's the tight end that's really good there. Well, you can't really tell that he's really good, but
in Atlanta.
Yeah, in Atlanta.
Geez, the guy that's faded off into obscurity.
Yeah, right. And that's the sad part. As touted he was coming out of Florida, that you have that. But I think it's a little bit also look at their schedule, you know, with the exception of who they're playing, you know, twice a year. Who else is on their schedule? Are they banking on, you know, those other teams being very good? And also, what's the stat that, you know, 30%, 40% of the teams that made the playoffs last year doesn't make the playoffs the following year. So you could maybe a process of elimination have that. I certainly think Cincinnati is going to be a team that didn't make it last year will be in there this year, potentially with their potential that they have. I think the Steelers going to be down. You know, Baltimore, you right for Baltimore. Are they, you know, they're always the cream of the crop, and Cleveland's just Cleveland, right? So I'd have to look at their schedule and see, you know, who do they think, are they banking on? You know, I think they're banking on the other teams that they're playing getting better as opposed to the Bucs getting worse.
Tino says, morning, gentlemen. What are your thoughts about the NFC South in a way too early prediction? And will the media be on the Bucs bandwagon or another team to win the South? Well, I think the media, as they do every year, Tino's, will pick the freaking Falcons, and I have no idea why. They picked them last year based on the fact that they had brought in Kirk Cousins, coming off an Achilles issue. And I didn't see that. And, of course, it didn't pan out that way. Now, the Falcons did sweep the Bucs in the season series, and that made the race for the division much closer than it should have been. But the way I see the division, the South panning out next year for 2025, Bucs, Falcons, Panthers, Saints in that order. And I think the Bucs win it again at 10-7. I think they repeat 10-7.
Yeah, I think a little bit that NFL, those certain markets like Atlanta. NFL wants Atlanta to be good just because of that market, and they want that kind of bigger market for sports. I'm not saying the NFL is better when Atlanta is good, but that's certainly one of those. I mean, they want a New York team to be good, right? They want geographic.
And we're a long way from that.
Right. They want the LA's teams to be good. So, they want Dallas to be good. They just bring eyeballs, and Atlanta's kind of one of those markets that certainly that they want to be good. Not saying that they will be. So, but I think it's just more predicated on look at the schedule of maybe other teams that they're playing, as opposed to they're banking on the Bucs to not be as good as they were last year. Yeah,
and Tino's here to wrap up Bucs talk. What position do y'all like to see the Bucs pick in 19? Is there a specific position or best player available? So right now, I of course would like to see them go defense. I would like to see them go edge rusher or cornerback at number 19. But again, Jason Light out at the league meetings this week is on record a couple of times to a couple of different people saying that they're going to take the best player, and that could be a wide receiver. Do they need a wide receiver? I mean, you can always use an extra body, right? But Evans is back. Godwin's re-signed. McMillan was great at the second half of last year after Godwin went down. I don't really care who they take. I'm more worried about who they take in the back end of the draft. I still think you need to add a linebacker, a pass rusher. I still think you need depth in your secondary. And you know what? Offensive line probably needs some depth. I really don't care what they do at 19. I think what's more important is what they do deeper in the draft.
Yeah, I think that if you look at that division, I mean, I think that they need to really focus on an edge rusher because these teams, Atlanta, even though that you have Penix, okay, Bryce Young, and then whoever the quarterback is going to be at New Orleans, do they scare you on the edges? I mean, I think the corners that they have, Tampa Bay, they're not worried about the quarterbacks in that division. So I think what they have is certainly sufficient enough to hold down those quarterbacks. Be different if you're in a division, with the exception of the Brown, in a division that you have a lot of great quarterbacks and you don't have that. So they're going to have to rely those other teams on their run game a lot. So having a linebacker or an edge rusher certainly would benefit them at 19.
Absolutely correct. And we have less than 3 weeks now. Well, right at about 3 weeks. April 24th, live from Green Bay, Wisconsin, and the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field.
I love it.
When the draft kicks off. Also, for you guys expecting something big at 19, don't be surprised if you see them trade back and maybe grab an extra third-round pick to pick later in the first, at the bottom of the first, or even the early second, and then grab an extra third or fourth round pick. I wouldn't hate that either. I trust Jason Light and pretty much everything. Everything Jason Light's doing.
Bucky's been great last year, but certainly it's a very heavy, good running back draft. So maybe they get somebody to help bolster that or take some relief off Bucky in the backfield. Yep. So you can't have enough really good running backs. So look for them to potentially do something like that. Also, not definitely the first round, but the second and third rounds.
True dat. When we come back, Texas Open Talk. And Johnny gives us his winning picks for the last event before the first major of the season. Today's show brought to you by Riveters Happy Hour. God, I can barely talk.
Ooh, let's go.
Check out some of these happy hour specials, Johnny, at Riveters.
You don't have to ask me twice. Don't get me excited now. I'll fly back to Tampa this afternoon.
Their happy hour brought to you by Budweiser, Monday through Friday, 3 to 7. $3 Bud Light drafts, $4 domestic bottles, $5 value wells, $6 premium wells, $6 cocktails, margaritas, $20 pitchers of margaritas or sangria. I am in. Check them out at Riveters.
You had me at Budweiser.com.
And we will be back in about, I don't know, what's this one say? This one says, Johnny, 2 minutes, 45 seconds right here on the JP Peterson Show on FanStream Sports.
Spring means a time of renewal and Rays baseball, and the folks at Italiano Insurance want to welcome the Rays to Tampa and remind you it's time to renew those insurance policies with the now famous Italiano Insurance Checkup. Let the experienced and friendly agents shop your policy for the best price and coverage. Famous for saving me over $1,000 on our auto insurance last year and over $500 on our homeowners. Now that's a grand slam. Might as well get a double play by adding flood insurance and business insurance to your portfolio. Costs less than you think, and trust me, you do not want to risk your home or personal wealth. That's a big whiff. So step up to the plate and call 813-877-7799 and chat with the all-star agents at Italiano Insurance. 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. Go Rays! JP here for Riveters, our new official sports bar and grill of the JP Peterson Show. And just like our show, no BS, no corporate chain feel, just amazing, authentic folks serving great comfort food in a casual atmosphere at unheard of prices. Riveters is located just south of Raymond James and Steinbrenner Field on Dale Mabry, walking distance to the park, so free parking, great place for pregame and postgame. Let's talk about fresh food. Nothing is frozen. Burgers, wings, prime rib, roasted fresh daily, never frozen. That makes a huge difference. The mahi, the salmon, also super fresh. All our sauces are original recipes made in-house. Our Warhawk chili and fully loaded potato soup is made fresh in-house. It's the best food anywhere, served by people who actually care. Riveters on Dale Mabry, just north of 275, just south of where the Bucs and Rays play. We'll see you there. Are you looking to renovate your home, rebuild after the hurricanes, or build your dream home from scratch? Well, let me tell you about my friend Jason Fawcett and On-Site Construction. They have over 1,450 satisfied clients, 25 years of experience, over 500 designs, and a talented team of over 40 construction professionals. They believe building something exceptional begins by truly focusing on all the details, even the smallest ones. We understand that construction can be a daunting process, and we're here to make it as smooth and stress-free as possible. Quality is non-negotiable at On-Site Construction. We use the finest materials, employ the most skilled tradespeople, and adhere to the highest industry standards to deliver a product we're proud of and that you're going to love. Our project management is meticulous with a focus on completing projects on time and on budget. Your happiness is our primary driver. So give us a call at 813-579-5789 or check out our incredible website at onsiteconstructionfl.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
Welcome back to the JP Peterson Show right here on FanStream Sports. I am IndyCar Tim. That guy over there, Johnny the Gerbman Gerber, PGA of America member, Johnny the Gerbman Gerbinator. And why is that important? Well, boys and girls, by the way, before we get into Texas Open talk, need to recognize all of our great sponsors here on the JP Peterson Show. Riveters, Italiano Insurance, Golden Diamond Source, On-Site Construction and Restoration, Third Generation Plumbing, and of course, my man Palotini.
Boy.
Over at Cafe Paradiso.
Ooh.
And man, I got to get back to Tampa, Johnny. I need some more veal parmesan, some veal piccata.
Man.
It's been too long, man. It's been October.
I know. I'm not even an Italian guy. That's not food there. That's magic.
That's an experience, right?
Oh man, that guy, that place is special. That place is, like I said, I'm not really the biggest Italian food. That's not even Italian food. That's just magic.
It's just heaven is what it is over at Cafe Paradiso. So Johnny, it is Texas Open week, and that means it is the last tune-up for all of these guys before a tradition unlike any other.
Your favorite.
The Masters. By the way, for those of you that want a deeper dive into the Texas Open, make sure you tune in 6 o'clock Eastern today, right here on the YouTube channel, on X, on Facebook, for a complete preview and betting analysis of the 2025 Valero Texas Open. And then later tonight, wherever you get your podcasts, the recorded version. But Johnny, there's just 4 rounds now separating the golfers from the Masters. Everybody's going to be hanging out at TPC San Antonio It's a par 72. Thank God. For those of you that don't listen to my golf takes, I don't think anything should be anything other than a par 72. Par 70s, whatever. Par 71s should just be right out. It's ridiculous. You can't have an odd number par. I don't get it. It's going to play 7,438 yards with a $9.5 million purse. And as we normally do here on the JP Peterson Show, when the clock strikes 9:45, Johnny, it's my last fireball in the freezer.
Well, that is that a hint that I need to get some more stuff for the studio? Is that what you're telling? Why is it 9:45 on Wednesday? Because I come on and make y'all money or what?
No, it's every day.
Oh.
Not just Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
Every day. I usually do one before the show. But Johnny, tell us a little bit about the course, how it's going to play, what the weather's going to look like. While I do this fireball, and then we'll get into your picks.
Yeah, another big ballpark this week, guys. It's playing a little over 7,400 yards, par 72. What Tim said, it plays a little bit different than last week at Memorial Park. Memorial Park with the weather, with the rain, played softer. You could have some mud balls. Notoriously, this place is very firm, very fast. Last week had some undulating greens just because they're old school greens, but these are man-made undulating greens. They're very difficult. It's going to play very fast, very firm. So, like I said, a little bit different in terms of that par 72 as opposed to par 71 last week, which again, as Tim says, he hates it more than anything. But yeah, a great card last week. We did have the winner with Siwoo Kim and then cashed in on another top 20 with Victor Perez. So that got us very good on the profit side. We're plus $2,650 for the year. After the win, that's a net profit. That's if you're playing $100 plays, and 20 wins, 5 losses, and 3 ties on our matchups for the year. We didn't have any matchups last week. We just didn't see anything with the weather delay on Saturday that kind of messes up rotation. Those guys playing in threesomes kind of messes up the rotation. So we didn't play around with that. We were just rooting for Minwoo Lee, and he came through. It didn't look like he was coming through, but certainly did. But listen, I like the card this week. If you look at our top spot, we won't get too in depth in this. You have to follow us tonight. We'll get a little bit more in depth at 5 o'clock Central Time. Go over the whole card for us. But Denny McCarthy, I love him there at 30-1. Lost in the playoff last year with Akshay Bhatia. So, you're looking at a guy that can best putter in the world. And anytime you get undulating greens, slopey greens like that, I'm going to take the guy that can really put the eyeballs off of it. So I
love when Johnny says undulating greens.
Undulating, yes. Tony Finau at 36-1. He's not on our card a lot. This is a kind of event that he can maybe sleepwalk a little bit through it. I liked his form on most of the week last week, but if you can get Tony Finau at 36-1, I think there's good value. And realize when we're making these picks, when we start off the week, we take a poll of about 15, 20 guys and we kind of break them down. And a little bit of the strategy is, where do you put them on the card? Do you put him in the winners with the odds? You put him in the top 10, top 20s. So there's some strategy when you're moving around, but we start out with a pool of 15, 20 guys that's had success with our formula. This is how we get these picks. I've had a lot of those questions. How do you get them in, move them around in the top 10 and top 20? Well, that's how we do it. So I like Sam Stevens at 45-1. This is a big ballpark again. Denny McCarthy, he's not the longest guy on the PGA Tour, but his equalizer is his putter. Sam Stevens, he's really solid throughout his whole bag. He hits it far, can put it good, had some success earlier in the year. I like that number at 45-1. And our buddy's back. Ham sandwich pick, our buddy Ben Griffin at 55-1. You're looking at a guy that's not going to make a lot of mistakes, not the longest guy, but the golf course is going to be playing firm. So you're going to get a lot of rollout. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes, solid with the putter. I think you're going to have to shoot probably 12 to 15 to win. I don't think you're going to get to that 20 spot. I think it's too difficult, too firm. Greens are too fast. I like a golf course that if it's 15, 12, somewhere around there. I like Ben Griffin because he doesn't make mistakes. Tommy Fleetwood and Daniel Berger plus 220 and 240 to finish in that top 10. I got to see a little bit more out of Tommy Fleetwood. I mean, I'm not going to say he's the best player in the world that hasn't won a major, but he doesn't play well over here. I don't know what his deal is.
Mm-hmm.
He's had some success, obviously a stalwart on the Ryder Cup. This is going to play a little, as firm as this place is going to play. Maybe it's going to play into the hands of some of these guys that are very creative and European guys. 220, I like a little bit of value there at Fleetwood. I couldn't put him in the winner's circle. He was the favorite at like 15-1. So I moved him down the top 10. and Daniel Berger with his recent form, trying to get in the Masters. I like the way he's been trending, had a solid year so far, doesn't have to worry about his major medical anymore, so I think he's going to have a good week. And 2 top 20s as always, Maverick McNeely at plus 220 and Charlie Hoffman plus 330. You know, when it comes to this event, you can't hassle the Hoff.
Don't hassle the Hoff.
Can't hassle the Hoff in San Antonio. So I like that's what I have. We're going to get a little bit more into it tonight on From the Rough to give a little bit more analysis why I like these picks and see if we can get back-to-back winners as we come off a great week last week.
Johnny, a couple of questions here from the Peanut Gallery. John Hill's asking if Rory. Why do you think Rory has an injury, John? I'm not sure why you're asking that.
I haven't heard anything about his injury.
No.
That's news to anybody at Everest. He's down in Augusta, so I'm sure
he's not playing
golf
this week because he's tuning up for Augusta.
Yeah, it was either play San Antonio or Houston, and he chose to play Houston.
And then T. Knowles, by the way, that was his first foray into Memorial Park too in Houston. T. Knowles wants to know, is Rory a favorite going into the Masters, and how about Will Zalatoris?
Yeah, I mean, I think Scotty will be the favorite. I mean, it'll be very close to Scotty and Rory McIlroy. So really, you can't really make any money on him. And if you just want to pound your chest and say, I got the winner if those two guys win, that's fine. But you can't really make any money on him. As for Will Zalatoris, he certainly fits the mold now. I think he's healthy enough. He has, he hits the ball very high and hits the ball right to left. And that's the formula that you have to have for Augusta National. And he certainly hits it far enough. My only thing with Zalatoris is, he doesn't chip it as good as he doesn't chip it as good as he should around that place. And I'm not so sure he's fixed his putting woes, but that long broom putter has certainly helped him. But when you get on some of those long, when you get on those types of greens, it's very difficult to putt those types of greens with a long putter. That's why you've only had two Masters champions win with a long putter, Vijay Singh and Adam Scott.
Did you see, and look, we're all fans of Tiger, right? I mean, I think we all, did you see his April Fool's attempt?
He was playing in the Masters, but I didn't see it.
So he said, let me get this stuff off the screen here. This is what he posted. I can't believe I'm saying this, but a few weeks after rupturing my left Achilles, the sleeping in the hyperbaric chamber plus the explosive list, my doctor and trainers have me ready to play the Masters next week. Can't wait to see y'all on the course. He tweeted that, posted that on X. Got 11 million views. And then literally 6 minutes later, he posted this. P.S. April Fool's, my Achilles is still a mess.
That's fantastic. And how many people, as soon as they said that, tried to go to the sports book? Let me bet Tiger. Let me bet Tiger. You couldn't get it. When you can't get a number on him after that in 6 minutes, it's an April Fool's joke, right?
I guarantee you he got a lot. I didn't see it until after the fact, but I guarantee you he got a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
And good for him, man, having a little bit of fun, kind of poking a little bit of fun at himself.
Absolutely.
So it is what it is. So, Johnny, real quick, let's get into the Rays yesterday. They blanked the Pirates 7-0. They've started the season 4-1. Shane Baz gets your win. He goes 6 innings, 10 strikeouts, a career high 10 strikeouts for Shane, 96 pitches. Brandon Lau goes 3 for 4, 2 runs, 3 RBIs, a home run, and a walk. And the guy we're all following, Jake Mangum, he collected 3 more hits. A day after going 4 for 4 with 2 steals in his second major league game. And I don't know if you know the story of Jake Mangum, but he's 29 years old and he's playing in his first MLB games ever.
Yeah. And
he's a career minor league guy.
That's great. I mean, that's the biggest sign of perseverance, right? When you still have that dream and still keep going. And what a great place for him to kind of get on this MLB roster with the Tampa Bay Rays, right? All the trials and tribulations they're going through with the stadium, and just maybe just a breath of fresh air when it comes to something like that. So yeah, good for him. I mean, those are always good stories to watch. And there's a lot of those in MLB. Like you'd be surprised how, you see mid guys in their mid-30s still playing minor league baseball and hoping one day they would just get a shot at the deal. Yeah. And this guy's got it. Hopefully he can stay, and you'll see a little bit more stories
Yeah, I mean,
down
you
the road,
talk about perseverance. After 10 years in the minors, you're 30 years old, 29 years old, and you've never been called up to the majors. At this point, you're sort of relegating yourself. All right, I'm a lifelong minor league baseball player, but you know what? I love the game, and I'm going to keep at it. And then this happens to you. Like, how great is that?
Well, you look at it, if he started playing professional baseball at 19, at some point he had to be a star, right? You're
Right.
getting
You get drafted,
in
right? Yeah.
Major League Baseball at 19 years old, maybe play 1 year of college, or maybe he got drafted at 18 right out of high school. So he had the traits to become a major league player. If you're getting drafted, I don't know what his draft was or where he got drafted, but you're looking at the guy certainly had some potential. Maybe he just dealt with a lot of injuries. As good as medical stuff is now and things like that, for him to keep going and fix his injuries. Apparently at some point he was pretty damn good.
Yeah, he was for sure. And over on the hockey side, go Bolts, by the way, representing here today. 4-1 on the island. I don't know. Do they still play on the island? They used to play on the island at Nassau. I don't think they still play there. I don't know what the Islanders' home arena is, or if it's still on the island. But 4-1. Jake Gensel had a goal and an assist. Vazzy stopped 28 shots for the 4-1 win. It's the Lightning's fourth straight win as they inch closer to clinching a playoff spot. By the way, our Dallas Stars have clinched a playoff spot about a week ago here in the West. So go Stars. And I'm looking so forward to a Lightning Stars Stanley Cup finals this year. That would be my dream. That would be my dream. That would be so great for the show. First of all, it would be great. I mean, it's happened before, and the Lightning came out on top during COVIDus, back in the bubble in Toronto. But yeah, they're inching closer to the playoff spot. Victor Hedman scored. Bjorkstrand scored. Nick Paul added an empty netter. Kucherov and Point had 2 assists each. Your 3 stars of the game, of course, Gensel with the goal and the assist. Kucherov, 2 helpers. Braden Point with 2 helpers. Vazzy's got his 36th win of the regular season, and he only trails maybe a guy that's from a different planet right now, the way he's playing in Connor Hellebuck up in Winnipeg. Don't win in my bag. But, man, good things happening for the Lightning. It doesn't seem like that long ago they were struggling a little bit, and they couldn't score, and we had doubts. But, again, as the NHL season's very long, you will have streaks, you will have slumps. And the important thing for John Cooper and the boys right now is just to make sure that they're streaking at the right time and they're not slumping here, limping into the postseason, as they are inching their way towards that postseason spot. Back to some comments here as we wrap things up here on a Wednesday JP Peterson show. Daniel says they play at Belmont, right next to Belmont Park, UBS Arena. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I did know that. John says that Rory's dealing with an elbow injury. Now, John, is it an elbow injury or is it just elbow soreness? Because there's a difference.
He hit his elbow drinking beer, and he hit his elbow putting his beer down, hanging out with Shane Lowry. That's
Lowry.
Lowry. When you all those guys dealing with elbows and little things right now,
I wouldn't sweat it, John.
Either or, John. Don't bet him this week. He might win, but you can't make any money on juice isn't
this
worth the
week.
squeeze.
You mean next week?
I mean next week. Next week. Yeah, juice is not worth the squeeze, John.
No. And you can be the biggest Rory fan you want. You can bet on Rory every week.
Yep.
But even when he wins, you're not going to make any money because he has such short odds. Yeah. Him and Scotty, Xander, Shafefli, whatever. But hey, if you want more on that, because we'll talk about it aplenty today, 6:00 Eastern, right here on FanStream Sports, on the nation's number 67 golf podcast out of about 20,000 from the rough, with the talent right there. That guy right there is all the talent in the world with his betting and his handicapping and his golf picks. And then I'm just the comic relief, kind of like I am on the JP show. See, there you go.
Fit it well.
Yeah, it fits. It makes it work. That's going to do it for us today here on the JP Peterson show. JP is still skiing. I'm sure I will get a call from him in about 5 minutes complaining about how I effed up his show. And you know what, JP? That's kind of what you get for leaving me in charge. I'm just saying. And then tomorrow you will have me, and you will have the great Jeff Tito Fitoff.
Wow.
From 97.1 The Fan in Columbus, Ohio. We will go the entire hour. And then on Friday as well, me and Tito. We may have JP jump in to give us an update on his man trip out there at Breckenridge, how the skiing is, how the snow is, and all of that good stuff. I'm more concerned in Breckenridge right now as a single male. I don't know, he's not. Sorry, Ashley. Like what the scenery is out in Breckenridge right now. That's kind of what I'm going for. So we may ask him some very inappropriate questions about stuff like that make him very uncomfortable because Ashley will be watching. But that's what we do around here on FanStream Sports. I'm Tim. That's Johnny. I will be back tomorrow with Tito. Until then, boys and girls, we'll see ya.